Hi, everybody. I'm Maria Tadic. I'm a dietitian and the owner and founder of Virago Nutrition. And tonight's webinar, I'm going to talk a little bit about postpartum weight loss and just some tips and tricks to get you started. This is great for people that have just had babies a couple weeks or months ago, or if you still got that toddler running around and still want to lose some of that extra baby weight, even though it's been a couple of years. So I'm going to talk a little bit about just weight loss basics, when it's appropriate to start losing weight after giving birth, focusing on the quality of your foods, talking about the importance of fiber and protein and how they play a role in weight loss. Hydration, that's exceptionally important for weight loss, especially right after birth. I'll have a sample meal plan in there for you, and then I'll go over some of my top tips for successful weight loss, and then next steps on how you can move forward with what you have learned in this webinar. So just some basics about weight loss. If you are trying to lose weight, it's important to think about your lifestyle, not just following a diet. You want a lifestyle because that's going to be something that's sustainable long term, and it's going to be something that's comfortable for you to keep up over many, many years, not something that's going to end in 21 days or a couple weeks. You want something that feels natural to you. And that's important, and that can be difficult to do after you give birth because you have a new family member, you're not sleeping well, you're tired. Everything is just very, very different. Good, different, but different. And it's a balancing act. So you have to think about, what you're eating, how often you're active, and you really got to be consistent. And again, that can be really difficult when you have a brand new little family member that's keeping you wide awake in the middle of the night. So before you even begin to think about losing weight after, you give birth, it's important to talk to your OBGYN. So even if you had a regular, uncomplicated delivery, you still always want to get go-ahead green light from your doctor. So they're going to give you very specific instructions and a timeline to follow. And it's really important that you listen to them. It's even more important if you had a complicated delivery, you had a C-section, you required significant aftercare. All of those things you really need to take into consideration when you're moving forward with changing your diet or changing an exercise routine. Diet especially really does play an important role in the healing process of your body. So you want to make sure that you're fueling that process instead of cutting or restricting calories or cutting out food groups to lose weight. Typically, the first 2 to 4 weeks postpartum, you really need to be focusing on you, your new family member, the baby, getting into a good routine, getting things settled with your husband or partner. This is a time to be spent on you and your family, not for weight loss. You'll be losing weight naturally regardless at this point. You'll be losing some of the water weight from maybe you had some swelling at the end of your pregnancy, and just, getting back to your regular routine. So the first 2 to 4 weeks, I don't recommend trying to lose weight. Again, this is a time to be focusing on you and your family. Typically, after you're over 4 weeks out, you're usually good to start making some small changes to your diet, maybe start exercising again. But again, I do want you to get approval and clearance from your OBGYN prior to making any changes. Because your life might be quite hectic still, even 4 months out, you want to start with making some small changes. So if you try to overhaul your whole diet, or you get overly motivated and maybe you think, oh, I'm going to do, the Whole30, I'm going to make everything from scratch, I'm going to start cutting out these different food groups. That's a lot to take on. And as much as it might sound really great, you might think, oh, I'm going to lose a lot of weight really quickly. Number one, large changes to your diet or lifestyle routine can be overwhelming and just cause you additional stress. So you don't want to do that when you're already feeling stressed to begin with. Also, this is especially true if you're breastfeeding. Any large changes in your diet can affect your supply. So again, small changes is definitely the way to go. So for example, you could start thinking about what time during the week is a good time for me to exercise. Is it when my partner gets home and can watch the baby for a little bit? Is it in the morning when I'm feeling a little bit more refreshed? Or just cutting out the regular soda or the sweet treats that you might be having. So small changes to start with. The other thing that I typically want my clients and patients to be focusing on is the quality of their food. I know it's frequently natural for people to kind of gravitate towards counting calories. Whether you're using an app like MyFitnessPal or you're journaling, that's good that you're, keeping accountable to that, but I don't want you focusing on just the quantity or the total calories of your food. So what I want patients and clients to be thinking of is the quality. So I want you to choose high quality foods. And that doesn't mean, shopping in an expensive grocery store or going to Whole Foods. It means that you're choosing foods that are minimally processed. So they're not coming in a box or a package or a bag. They don't have a lot of additives or preservatives or funky things in them. They're full of vitamins, minerals, protein, fiber, and antioxidants. And these are going to be naturally low in calories. These are typically referred to as whole foods or nutrient-dense foods. And they are high quality because they are so nutritious for you and they don't have a lot of that added stuff, a lot of that added junk that you will see in more processed foods. So some examples of this are any type of fruit or vegetable, nuts and seeds, dairy products that don't have added sugar. So, more plain yogurt, plain cottage cheese, not with the sugary sweet stuff added to it. 100% whole grains and lean protein. That could be chicken or fish or tofu, anything along those lines. Now, there are some foods that typically do seem healthy, but are going to be considered a low quality food. And although they are low in calorie, there's something that I typically want you to stay away from because they are processed. So you are probably familiar with those 100-calorie packs, which whether it's a 100-calorie pack of Keebler cookies or 100-calorie pretzel packs, yes, they're low calorie, but they're low in everything else that's worthwhile. So if you think about it, a 100-calorie pack of Keebler cookies, yeah, they probably taste good, but they're not offering you any vitamins or minerals or protein in there. So it's kind of a waste, right? Low-calorie granola bars. I was actually looking at some of the chewy 90-calorie granola bars. They actually have high fructose corn syrup in them. And I was really surprised because you think if they were marketed as a low-calorie food with the whole grain oats on it, you wouldn't have high fructose corn syrup in there. But you do. So again, some of these things, they seem like they're a health food. They seem like they'd be great for a weight loss plan. But in all reality, they're really highly processed and they are not a high quality food. So these are things that I would want you to stay away from. Another example is by looking at these two different items. So again, you might be focused on calories, you might be focused on limiting your carbohydrates or limiting your fat. Whatever it is that you're typically focused on, let's look at some other things instead. So you'll see I have 2 ounces of pretzels, right? It's about 200 calories. There's not a lot of fat. They're very high carbohydrate, but there's no fiber, very little protein. There's not a lot of sugar, which is good, but it's a pretty much an empty source of 200 calories. So it's not bad, but it's definitely not awesome either, right? And then you look over here, you have low-fat Greek yogurt and 2 ounces of strawberries. It is lower in calories, which is great, but if you think about it, it's a much lower in carbohydrate. There's more fiber here. There's more protein, there's more sugar, but it's coming from a natural source from the strawberries. So you're getting a lot more here, and this is important. So even if this said it was 250 calories, I would still want you to choose this option as a snack or a meal because you're getting so much more nutrition for it. You're getting so much more protein. You're getting fiber. It's lower in carbohydrates, lower in sodium. So those are the things you want to be looking at. You don't only want to look at one factor like the calories. You got to look at the whole picture. The other thing that I really stress when you're thinking about weight loss is protein and fiber. So the reason is protein, number one, protein is a macronutrient. So this means your body needs this in relatively large amounts. So you need a lot of protein every day. It's the main building block of all your body's tissues and cells, and it has a lot of different functions. I mentioned this earlier, but it's needed for healing and repair. So again, postpartum, especially within the first month or so, or up to 6 weeks, that's what your body's going to be doing, growing, repairing, kind of getting yourself back on track. So protein's essential for that. But it's also important for growth and maintenance as well. After childbirth, it's really important that you get an adequate amount of protein to help support the repair of your body, to support breast milk production if you are breastfeeding, and just your general energy and metabolism levels. So it's important to make sure that regardless of whether you're breastfeeding or not, or whether you're 4 weeks out or 4 years out from having a baby, that you do have a fair amount of protein in your diet. Protein aids in weight loss in a couple of ways, and this is really important, and this is why you might find some dieting styles or lifestyles to be better for you. Number one is when you have a protein-rich diet, and what I mean by that is having protein every single meal or snack, you have less hunger throughout the day, you feel satisfied with less quantity of foods at meals, and you're less snacky and munchy in between meals. So that's really good. So that's going to help, lower your desire to snack, lower your desire to eat a larger portion. Protein actually takes a long time to digest in your stomach, so it sits in there longer. So you feel more satiated, more satisfied longer after a meal is over. It also helps provide you with energy. So again, it's going to be with the fuel for your metabolism. So you want to make sure that you have it at every single meal or snack, and that's going to propel you through your day. This is obviously important, especially in the first couple months postpartum when you're tired. There's nothing you can do to totally cure that because your baby's up all throughout the night. But having protein every meal will kind of keep you on your toes as best as you can. It also helps in maintaining muscle mass. So having a higher protein diet does help you burn more fat while maintaining your muscle mass, which is really important, especially for your metabolism. We talked about this a little bit, but protein is found in a ton of different foods. You can be vegan or vegetarian, pescatarian. You still can get a really good amount of protein in your diet. So it's going to be in the obvious things like animal proteins, beef and poultry and pork, eggs. Dairy is a really good source of protein, beans and lentils. Even some whole grains have protein like quinoa, nuts. And if you are doing a vegan or vegetarian diet, things like tofu or tempeh or those meat replacements like a veggie burger, those are all going to be really good sources of protein. Now, protein by itself isn't the end-all be-all for weight loss, but it's really going to be the best for you when you pair it with fiber. So fiber is that roughage that you might have heard of. It's what kind of keeps your GI system on track. It's typically found in plant-based foods. So beans and lentils, some nuts even have fiber. Obviously 100% whole grains, fruits and veggies, all are really, really good sources of fiber. So it's really good for, your general digestive health. If you had a C-section or you're on any type of pain medication after giving birth, sometimes that can slow your GI system and make you constipated. So having a higher fiber diet can help prevent that. But also like protein, fiber again takes a little bit longer to digest. So it sits in your stomach a longer time and then you feel more satisfied throughout the day. So again, that helps keep hunger at bay. Also, fiber provides bulk to your meals. So think about a big kale salad or something along those lines. It's bulky. You feel full with that because of the fibrous content of that. So you're eating a lower calorie food, but you're feeling full with that. So it's important to add those fiber-rich foods to your meals as well. Hydration is another really important component to weight loss for a couple of reasons. So a lot of times we feel hungry when we're actually just thirsty. So dehydration can actually feel like a hunger signal. And if you are thirsty, that means you are already dehydrated. So you are actually kind of past the point of where you should be. If you're feeling thirsty throughout the day, that means you really, really are backed up with your fluids. So you need to get on top of that. But whenever you're dehydrated, that makes you feel more sleepy and tired and fatigued. And that's obviously something you don't need to add to your typical day within the first couple of months postpartum. You want to do everything you can to keep yourself feeling a little bit more energized. So drinking a lot of fluids is important. It's typically recommended to have about 8 glasses of water or clear sugar-free fluids for women. If you're breastfeeding or even immediately after postpartum, you may need more than that. I know that if you had swelling or fluid retention, especially in that last trimester, drinking more fluid postpartum can actually help your body flush that out. So the more the better, but you do want to pick things that are sugar-free and decaffeinated. So even though you might want an iced tea, if it's caffeinated, that really is not going towards your hydration. So you want to make sure that you choose decaffeinated, sugar-free, and clear things. You could do water or lemon water. If you're okay with artificial sweeteners, you can do something like a Crystal Light or a Mio, or you can even do a Propel or Vitamin Water Zero. Those types of things also are really good for hydration. So again, these are some examples of items that you can drink that do hydrate you. Again, you want to be limiting the sugary beverages, caffeinated drinks. They're going to have some side effects, and you really want to make sure you avoid those. This is important too if you're breastfeeding. So my son wasn't particularly sensitive to caffeinated drinks, but your child might be. So if you notice that when you have coffee or iced tea, and that's keeping your baby awake or making them a little bit more fussy, you do want to consider cutting that out, just as sometimes caffeine can get into your breast milk, and you don't want that baby up any more than he or she needs to be. This is my 3-day sample meal plan, so you can print this out, but these are just some examples of breakfast, lunch, and dinner ideas for you. They're snacks. Always, again, you want to maintain with that clear fluids. That's very important. There are some recipes on here. You can find them on our website at www.viragonutrition.com. And these are, something you can do pretty easily at home. I have a meatless day here, so if you're a vegetarian or vegan, you can always go with these options here. I do offer more customized meal planning for clients, so if you're interested in that, just send me an email at maria@viragonutrition.com, and I can work with you to design a meal plan that's a little bit more tailored to your goals or your particular diet preferences. So in addition to diet, you do want to consider exercise. So again, small steps, but eventually you're going to cross this bridge. One thing that to take note of is even if you were in really great shape during your pregnancy, you probably weren't doing your CrossFit class, you probably weren't going on the full-on Zumba or spin class during that 3rd trimester. It's pretty hard to move sometimes. And then again, you're taking at least 2, 4, even 6 weeks off after you give birth. So even though you might have been doing a lot of exercise prior, most women are going to be starting kind of fresh and starting over. So, give yourself some time and be patient with yourself while you get yourself back to where you were prior to getting pregnant or where you were at the beginning of your pregnancy. Again, you do want to get approval from your doctor. It's really important that you get their A-OK on any new exercise program. This, again, is especially true if you had a C-section or a complicated delivery or you had any other issues. You want to make sure that that doctor gives you the green light. In general, this is the guidelines for exercise. You want to aim for about 150 minutes of cardio or aerobic activity every week. So that's about 30 minutes, 5 days a week. Now, that's a lot considering that you have a new baby at home. So that's your long-term goal. This could be one of your first goals right here, is doing 150 minutes of cardio every week. I highly doubt that you can get this in at the first start. I know I couldn't, but maybe you start with 2 days a week, and then you get to 3 days a week. And eventually you can add in some strength training. But again, this is your long-term goal. You might start off with just half of this to begin with. And you have to kind of consider your lifestyle now too. So a lot of the times new moms tell me they're not exercising because they're tired. They have a long work schedule. They're working full time and they have a new baby. They just feel like they have a lack of energy. So you've got to get around some of these barriers and make some changes in your lifestyle or your life so you can take advantage of different times or things during your day to allow you to have some exercise. So babies typically nap a lot, so try to take advantage of that time. Even if they're not long nappers, you can do something in 15 or 20 minutes. So it doesn't have to be a really formal, I went to the gym and I did 30 minutes on weights and then I ran on the treadmill for 45 minutes. It can be nothing like that at all if you don't want it to be. So again, 15 or 20 minutes of just moving around will cut it, and that's okay. Try to do morning workouts. That might sound kind of painful, but you're probably awake anyways. And so you might feel more refreshed and a little bit more motivated in the mornings. I know by like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, I was just wiped out, and a lot of times I was overly stressed and kind of frazzled. So I knew that if I was going to do an exercise routine of any sort, it needed to be in the morning. I also tried to find things that I could do at home. I was home by myself. My husband was at work, so there was no way that I was going to be going to the gym by myself. So there's a ton of YouTube videos, workout DVDs, exercise apps on your phone, even if you just did a walking program at home. or you did, they have even on TV, they have yoga channels and things like that. Do something like that so you don't actually have to leave your home and leave your baby or feel like you have to ask somebody to babysit for you. And then ask for help. So this is something I find women don't do very often. So we think as part of our role as mom that we got to do it all. We got to clean, we got to cook, we got to take care of the dog and the pets and the baby. That's a lot. And so you're taking on a lot of extra work. And that's great if you can do it all, but you do want to get your partner involved. Number one, it'll help him or her really bond with your baby and get to know them and get their own routine with the baby. And that's really important because long-term, you want them to be able to feel comfortable in taking care of that baby when you're not around. So ask for help. Say, hey, husband, wife, I want you to watch the baby for 30 minutes so I can go on a walk, or I want to go to the gym, or I want to do a 30-minute yoga session by myself. You really need to ask them for help so you can really get, your lifestyle back on track, because you're going to feel better and stronger for it. So my 5 top tips are, number one, definitely keep it simple. The more you complicate nutrition, the more you overthink about it, the harder it gets, the more stressed or frazzled you're going to get. So stick to something very simple. And then with that kind of comes along with number 2, choosing to only make small changes at a time. So 1 or 2 small things. Again, I know you might be eager to kind of, get back into your exercise and dieting routine that you had before pregnancy, but it took you 9 months to get there. So give yourself at least a couple months to get back. So you want to make small changes at a time. Be consistent. This is another area where I feel that patients and clients really kind of struggle with. Again, we might want something instantaneously. We want to be back at that pre-baby weight within a couple weeks. We don't want to deal with plateaus or weight stalls. And that's where I see people give up or become inconsistent with their diet or their new lifestyle, and then either start to regain or have some other issues. So you want to be consistent and persistent. That's really important to long-term success more than really anything else. Again, get your partner or friends or family on board. Ask for help as much as you need it. Remember that anybody is going to be really excited to help with that new sweet little baby of yours. So definitely make sure you get everybody on board to help you out as much as they can. And then lastly, be forgiving to yourself. Again, your new mom, that in and of itself is a full-time job, and give yourself credit for that. So you're going to make mistakes. You're going to sleep through that workout. You're going to say, screw it, and get takeout. That's okay. You need to be forgiving to yourself and say, I'm doing the best that I can. You've got to stay motivated and stop any negative self-talk. You really got to kind of be as strong as you can and know that you already have this big change in your life. It's a great change and very exciting, but it's going to take some time to get used to this new lifestyle. So again, be forgiving to yourself and be patient with yourself. So some next steps, if you are struggling to lose that postpartum weight, or you got that last 5 to 10 pounds and they are just not budging, or maybe you getting to your goal weight, you're close, but you're noticing your breast milk supply is kind of suffering, let's get in touch and I can help you work with those issues and get to your goals. So I do individual one-on-one counseling sessions. If you live close by, we could always do in person. If you need a personalized meal plan or exercise plan, we can do that. And like I said earlier, I do custom tailored meal plans. So say you're vegan or you have allergies, obviously everything is going to be, tailored to you. And then I use the Healthy app, which is nice that you can do reach me through all of the Healthy apps. So I can text you, you can text me, you can send me pictures of your meals, I can look at your food journal, and that's a really helpful little app. So again, I look forward to meeting with you, talking with you. Feel free to reach out. You can check out all of our services at viragonutrition.com. You can also shoot me an email at maria@viragonutrition.com. We're on some social media platforms as well. But again, I look forward to meeting with you and talking with you, and I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you soon.